Kia ora. Hello, my name is Joseph Stevens, and I'm a trusted seller for TBC. I live in Wellington, New Zealand, and today is Friday, and it's 3 o'clock. So I want to say hello to my wife, who is my moderator, and hello to Mahalko and Tio Kotai. Kia ora. And enjoyed the broadcast this morning with you and Jules. It was neat. I think most of you who have been on my broadcast may have noticed me starting off with a quote, and today is no different. So I think I've got 3 quotes there that I want to say today, and first one is, he who can do this has the whole world with him. He who cannot walks a little lonely way. If you want to gather honey, don't kick over the beehive. And only knowledge that is used sticks in your mind. Now, I just want to share with you something first before I get into my broadcast today, which is self-analysis and self-education. And I'll just jump into my share screen. Yep. Footprints in the sand. And how many of you have read this poem? It's actually one of my best, and I love this poem. One night I dreamed a dream. As I was walking along the beach with my Lord, across the dark skies flashed scenes of my life. For each scene, I noticed 2 sets of footprints in the sand. One belonging to me, and one belonging to my Lord. After the last scene of my life flashed before me, I looked back at the footprints in the sand. I noticed that at many times along the path of my life, especially at the very lowest and saddest times, there was only one set of footprints. This really troubled me, so I asked the Lord about it. Lord, you said once I decided to follow you, you'd walk with me all the way. But I noticed during the saddest and most troublesome times of my life, there was only one set of footprints. I don't understand why. When I needed you the most, you would leave me. The Lord whispered to him, my precious child, I love you and will never leave you. Never, ever, during the trials and testings, when you saw one set of footprints, it was when I carried you. Just gonna stop sharing that. And we'll get back on there. Hello, Andrina, and hello, Brian. then that's a poem that I really, really expect as Footprints in the Sand. I was going to just say I'll let you read it, but I decided I wanted to read it because I enjoy reading that. Self-analysis. What is self-analysis or self-education? Self-analysis is defined as an evaluation of one's thoughts and behaviors. And self-education is about educating yourself, which is self-explanatory, I suppose. When you aren't pleased, it is much easier to criticize and condemn than to try to understand the other person's viewpoint. Okay? What you're trying to put across. It's like being a broadcaster and trying to explain yourself, or you're trying to, or you found something and you're trying to get it across. It's really, really hard sometimes. So, yeah. It is frequently easier to find fault than to find praise. So why do we do it? It is more natural to talk about what you want to talk about with the other person, what the other person wants. Self-analysis and self-education, it will help improve your ability to make decisions, and it will aid you enormously in all your contacts with people. If you do two things will result. First, you will find yourself engaged in an educational process that is both intriguing, I suppose, and priceless. And the second, I think, is that you'll find the ability to meet and with people will grow enormously. So you see people want suggestions. They want suggestions that they can use immediately. In social contexts or in the home. If one aspires to wear the captain's cap and navigates the ship of business, personality and the ability to talk are more important than knowledge of Latin or a pair of up boots. Have you ever taken a moment to step back and think, why did I just do that? Self-reflection is a simple way to dig deeper into your feelings to find out why you were doing something or feeling a certain way. I think people that are just sitting around at home, feeling lazy, they need to self-reflect on why they're feeling so. Some of them might be so bored or something like that. Who knows? Why is self-reflecting so important? Well, you've got effective teaching. Effective teaching are the first things we should admit to, or in that no matter how good a lesson is, how great our broadcasts are, or how good our strategies are, we can always improve. Hello, David. Hello, Kenville. So we can always improve. It's why we seek out opinions from those around us. You know, like actually a person has just shown up, David Jones. Now I get a lot out of this. I actually get a lot out of everybody's broadcast now, and a lot of it's staying up here. I think with me broadcasting now, it's brought me out of my shell. And it started off with just me going around and supporting everyone in their broadcasts. And as I started to see things happen, I started to wonder whether I could do this or not. And I just did it. But does that make you run the risk of audience making stat judgments about our instructions without truly having the content to support it? Especially in regards to why they didn't understand it, or something happened like a server overload or a wallet problem, migration problems. Who knows? Who knows? We do. That's who knows. How do you best instruct someone as to how not to overdo it when it comes to transactions and causing an overload on a system? Because they want to send. Push that button, send. Overload. Next minute, our system's broken. Hi, server, down for a couple of days. Then they start complaining, oh, our system's broken. Our system's down. Self-analysis. Analyze yourself before you start to do something. What a going? What a going, Roy? My wife just asked, what the bloody hell's that? But, send. We can also see this another way, in that they are operating a business as a merchant, and maybe they're trying to send a transaction little by little, which is actually a huge transaction that they're trying to get across. Like they've just brought a car and they've got 20,000 to give to the merchant worth of TBC, but they have to break it down in different pieces of they have to break it down to give it to that merchant. But why do they not seek approval for a bigger transaction to go through from admin? Would that help? So if they might be able to get it done as soon as possible. In which case we should be reflecting on using another method, or should we? Or steering them in the right direction. But we are with our broadcasts. We're steering them in the right direction all the time. If they've got a problem with sending transactions through, how many times have I heard on these broadcasts? Send a ticket to support. So why am I using this as an example is, it's because I want to get across a message that we can teach our members what to do from the get-go. Learn from the start point guide them towards the blog, which we already do, and point them to watch as many broadcasts as they deem feasible. As us, aspiring them to wear the captain's hat. Make them wear the captain's hat. Let them have a go at steering the ship or steering their own ship. That's what they have to do, is, to self-reflect on themselves. Self-analysis. Self-reflection is important because it's a process that makes you collect, record, and analyze everything that happens in the broadcast, or finding or working with merchants, and self-reflecting on what you have, what you could have done better, so that you can improve, so that you can make improvements on your teaching. Yep, that's it. Make improvements on yourself. Or make improvements in your teaching strategies when necessary. How about that one? Figure out what you want to reflect on, figure out what you want to reflect on and not dilly-dally. Anybody know what that is? Well, I think a lot of people over in the UK know what dilly-dally is, or take your time is dilly-dally. For are you looking at a particular feature of your teaching, or is this reflection in response to a specific problem? Whatever the case may be, you should start by collecting information. Google it. Tons of information on Google. Anything that helps you with yourself and gathering information and self-reflecting, self-analysis, self-analyzing yourself. And this could all start with, say, a journal. You can have a look at that piece of paper you just showed me, because I can't see it from way back here. Okay, the wife just asked me to read some of the comments that are coming in. Yes, a lot of self-analysis is needed, Dave. And it's probably how we're broadcasting, how we teach it, how we show them when we bring new referrals in, and that's where it's got to start from. It's got to start from it's got to start at the beginning, full stop. It's got to start from when they come in the first day. That's where the teaching's got to start. It can't start anywhere else. We can't start 20 weeks later and start to teach them. It's like into school, isn't it? Or like a newborn baby, you start teaching them straight away.
There's double Dutch on here.
Wife's saying there's double Dutch on here. Just go back and have a look.
I don't understand Kindles.
Yep, too many came in without proper mindset, and education. Exactly. But how do we teach them now? We keep trying and trying every day to, point them towards the blog, but we can also teach them with our broadcasts. It's our biggest tool, is our broadcasts, to get them to understand that we're not just here for fun. TBC is not a joke. TBC is real. If you want to really reflect on what you're doing and what you're showing, you need to have a journal. You need to write these things down. You need to understand what you're teaching them. So you create lessons for yourself and teach them. It's just like how we're with the migration and the answers to those questions.
Yeah.
It's not really good to give them the answers. It's better to sit down with them and say, okay, how would you see this question? Kia ora, Sharon. And how would you answer this question? Now, what do you think the proper question, or what do you think the proper answer would be? And this is how we're supposed to be teaching our new ones that are coming in, and even ourselves that are already in here. We need to teach these people that are coming in here that don't have a picture or a profile picture on the broadcast. That says to me that all that person wants to do is come in and do a couple of seconds broadcast and claim and try and claim for them broadcasting and trying to get the 1 million cookies. That's what that's saying to me. That they want to come in here and try and buck the system and get paid for nothing. They've got to work for it. They've got to earn it. They want to do a broadcast, do an hour. Do a half an hour. Do it like what we do. Do a half an hour. Doesn't hurt. And you can say anything you want about and positive, in a positive way too. Whatever the case may be, everybody should start collecting information. Which would help them with support. Look at the broadcasters in this and supporters' perspective. Additionally, a video may act as an additional set of eyes to catch errant behavior that you hadn't spotted at the time. Organising yourself the night before or 4 hours before you're ready to broadcast says, calling the kettle black. Yeah, I did that yesterday. I wasn't organised properly, and I sort of kerfuddled my way through. Yeah. Questions to ask yourself, whether you're using self-reflective, whether you're using a self-reflective journal or trying to get feedback from your peers and referrals. Perhaps the hardest part is actually coming up with the right questions to ask. Just going back on the question that just having a look through the chat again. Another one from Dave. Oh, hang on, might be someone else up above. Exactly right, Roy. Get it right from the start. And Kenville, a lot of them fully understand what TBC is all about, but they joined it with ulterior motives of getting quick fix. Exactly. They thought, oh, you get rich quick scheme. They thought that TBC was a get rich quick scheme. Well, we're not MML. We're better than that. And we know it. Friendly marketer David says we are privileged as broadcasters as we get to steer the members in the direction they need to go as far as learning and commitment. Sure. That's Flash, all right? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. Exactly. That was from Brian Seaman. Divine. That's why I'm glad the new questionnaire admin has designed for the new wallet. Yeah, I like that questionnaire. It gets them on track from the word go. Many, this is from Kenville, many also choose to be a basket. Don't matter what amount of water you pour in it, leaks out. I understand that. A lot of holes in basket. Try pouring the water in the bucket. Won't leak out. And Brian Simmons says, I have signed up that I have talked to them till I am blue. Till he is blue in the face. But can't get them to follow anything. Put them onto our broadcasts. It's probably the best way. Show them something that might get them going on our broadcast. If we've got, you can get it on your phone, so show them from your phone. Use your phone and educate them that way. If they don't want to do it, well, go back to them in a couple more years' time when we're really, really established, and it's and they're in the millionaire lot and not in the billionaire lot, and see what they say then. Sharon saying, "Oh, look at the daily broadcasters as the TBC teachers. We are. Out of my 101 referrals, only 5 pay the $10 and only 2 pay the 100. That's from Ken. That's harsh. But a bit like me, I got 20 out of 109. Good mind. The uncles and that will catch up. I'll get on to the cousins as well. And David says again, the broadcasters are ideally the teachers and trainers of TBC, so we need to be totally absorbed in TBC and by our example lead the flock. True. Okay, I want to get back to finishing what I actually started. So, finishing, I need to carry on what I've been doing. So, was what we are teaching too easy, too difficult for our members? Did our referrals understand what TBC is all about? These are questions. With what part of TBC did the referral not? Did the referral seem least engaged with and positively engaged with? So turn the question to both of them. What didn't you like and what did you like? Try not to point on the negative side though. What didn't you like is and then they might come up with tons and tons of excuses. So you're sort of not, you don't really want to put an excuse into their mouth for them not to say, okay, we'll look at it. My approach to most of my whānau or my family was, have a look at this, see what you think. If you don't like it, tell me why. But I'd rather hear your good points on it. What could you do with this? What could you see that you're going to get out of this? How could we help the poor? How could we help the homeless? With what parts of TBC, as I just said, did you seem least engaged with? What goals did you set them? Did you set them any goals? And say to yourself, did you meet any of the objectives? When you ask them, what parts, etc. How did you deal with the problems that came up, during your broadcast as well? And how will your overall attitude be when you analyze it? Look at the chats. Is there anything that was talked about the most? Or was the chats quiet? And why? Figure out what is needed to be changed, if anything does. And the easy part of finding a solution. Interact with other broadcasters, teach and read the blogs. And always try and post positive things on the blogs, or on the chat rooms. Always try and post positive stuff, which helps, and it keeps the confidence of the broadcast. It keeps their confidence way up there. When negative stuff starts to hit, they start to go downwards. But if you're seeing that, start to push them back up again. If you see someone coming into the room that wants to pull them down, push them back up. Hold your hand under him. You are there. Carry him, like the poem, Footprints in the Sand. Carry that broadcaster. Carry them. Help them. The ultimate goal of self-reflection is to improve the way to teach. Through findings you gather, you may gain the insight. You need to take your instructions to the proverbial next level. Or you may find what you're really doing, or what you're already doing, is a stellar job. And I know most of us are doing a stellar job at broadcasting every day and trying to get that message across to everybody. We're all travelers. We're all travelers through life and must ultimately make our own decisions and initiate the specific actions that define who we are, what we accomplish, and what we leave behind. You see, it's not likely that people of the armed forces would let you anywhere near one of their weapons systems without training, which makes sense. I'm in charge of a nuclear button. Which one do I press? Makes sense. But we assume the right to jump into various businesses or various business opportunities or investments with zero training or experience, and then get off and blame the leaders, blame admin, blame everybody else except yourself. TBC only charged $10 for admin's fee. They don't charge you anything else. It's up to you what you put in. Just reflect on that and pass that on to your referrers. I'm going to finish up for those that went in here at the beginning and go back. I'll just share my screen again. Go back and where are we? And read Footprints in the Sand again to those that weren't in here, because I actually do just love this poem. And one night I dreamed a dream as I was walking along the beach with my Lord. Across the dark sky flashed scenes from my life. For each scene I noticed two sets of footprints in the sand, one belonging to me and one to my Lord. After the last scene of my life flashed before me, I looked back at the footprints in the sand. I noticed that at many times along the path of my life, especially at the lowest and saddest times, there was only one set of footprints. This really troubled me, so I asked the Lord about it. Lord, you said once I decided to follow you, you'd walk with me all the way. But I noticed that during the saddest and most troublesome time of my life, there was only one set of footprints. I don't understand why. When I needed you the most, you would leave me. He whispered, my precious child, I love you and will never leave you. Never, ever. During your trials and testings, when you saw only one set of footprints, it was then that I carried you. Footprints in the sand, people. I can't see. Hang on. I have to go like this and bring up that chat. Wow. Such a full room. I'm so blessed with having so many people on my chat today, on my broadcast. I thank you all very much today for turning up. I can see a lot of questions in here, and a lot coming from Roy. There are plenty of people. The world is abundant, so I am not going to clobber anyone over their head. A lot of people are hungering and thirsting for this opportunity. Sow the seeds. Thank you, Roy. We will. From David again, I'll go back up. The broadcasters are ideally the teachers and trainers of TBC, so we need to be totally absorbed in TBC and by our examples lead the flock. And you can take money out of the bank, but you can't take the bank out of the money. Likewise, you can take the swine out of the mud, but you can't take the mud out of the swine. Easy money and no hard work. Thanks, Ken. And that's what some are all about. Yep. And that's what some are all about. I've absolutely enjoyed today and just sharing a bit about self-reflection, educating yourself, and enjoyed having everybody here today. All I want to say is, people, read the blog, teach your referrals to read the blog. That's where I learn. That's why I know a lot of answers to a lot of questions when people bring them up. I teach myself, and I've always done that for years. So with this, I'm going to say kia ora koutou. Thank you for joining my broadcast. This is the TBC Doctor with my wife Sandy saying kia ora, bye, peace, choice. Thank you very much. Love you all.